Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So we're going to be doing what I've decided to nickname an ELEV, an Evo Low Effort video. Because obviously the Palace Guards were really quite a big unit at the start of the season, and I never got around to really doing anything on them. I thought it was finally about time to kind of put a few comments to what I think about them. So we've basically just got a bit of a video where I play Palace Guards followed by Paladins, and I just kind of caught through some of the problems. Just a quick interruption from future Evo, because the whole point of recording that Evo Low Effort video was to tell you that I'm going live on Twitch, but I completely forgot. Just so used to, I think I might submit an application for the Worst YouTuber of the Year award. But yeah, we are going live over on Twitch right now, and since I couldn't be asked to shoot the whole video again just to put that section in, we've had to go to future Evo to tell past Evo to tell you that we are now going live on Twitch. It would be really cool to have a few of you pop over, even if it's just for 5 minutes to say hi. I really do appreciate it when get a few people over there. It's kind of interesting to hear what you think about the videos, where you think I can improve and things like that. So it's always really cool to see you all live. So yeah, do hop over, and I should now hand you back to past Evo, who's probably just about to get killed with some Palace Guards. So on that clip there, as we kind of saw at the start, straight into a unit of condos and a double maul. The mauls obviously racking up quite a bit of damage. I think the problem I have with the Palace Guards is their damage output just isn't that high. Yeah, okay, they are a relatively tanky unit. Their charge is okay, it's not too bad, but it's not as good as a Paladin charge. And they just kind of lack a little bit of the tankiness that you get from other units. I'm not quite sure why I decided to not go back to the supply point. I guess I felt I probably lost too much of the unit for it to really be worthwhile, so I decided to start pushing into some of the other stuff. Come up against some iron caps. You know, their charge does okay. You know, it pushes into a bit of the stuff, but it doesn't push through anything in the way that a Paladin charge does. We'll see that a little bit more later on, hopefully. Unfortunately, we both knock each other back with our ultimates there as the maul. But, you know, against a lower tier unit like this, the Palace Guards do fine. They start to push their way up. Probably because they're a bit too low health, I didn't want to just completely throw the unit forwards. I should have probably just pushed X them more into the unit to try and be a little bit more effective. But, you know, considering that we've still got nearly 60 kills now, not doing too badly with them as a unit. With the pressure on there, I'm starting to pull back. I was going to actually head towards the supply point now, perhaps to go and get healed up. Since the unit survived so long, I thought they're perhaps worthy of surviving a bit longer. But actually, there's quite a few enemies starting to push onto our supply point. Quite a bit of stuff down there, including what looks like some halbs or some halb sergeants. Not quite sure at this point. I think they were the Landsknechts. And as we start to come around, again, double maul combo for us to deal with. Bring the unit in, pretty slow to get into position. And we start to get them in on the charge. And that, you know, really I feel like my opinion on these guys can be pretty well summed up as that they're a decent unit, but they're just not as good as some of the other stuff available. And I think they got pretty heavily overhyped. Particularly at the start of the season, you know, people were saying that they're the only unit that can flatten stalwarts and that they're some new god tier Palace Guards are the greatest unit ever invented. And I just don't think that's the case. I think they got improved a long way from where they were. You know, we last looked at these guys, I think I last looked at them in season 4, I think it was the video I did on them. And, no, they were pretty crap at the time. They've certainly been improved a lot with some of the changes that they've had, and it does make them a lot better. But they aren't as good as Paladins. They're not even really that close. So I just feel like they're improved, but they're still a moderately bad unit, really, in my opinion. Certainly not one that I'm going to be bringing regularly to combat. They are quite tanky, though. I guess that's their main benefit. Hey, you managed to finally get revenge on them all. But unfortunately, as the unit gets overwhelmed, we get a little bit overwhelmed as well, and pretty much the bulk of them get themselves killed. But still, we didn't do too bad. We got over 70 kills, a hero kill with them. Yeah, 72 unit kills, so not too bad for an opening unit. Certainly not worthy of complaint. And that's kind of what they're like. They're okay. You know, they do reasonably well, but they don't do amazingly. And that pretty well sums up my opinion on them in most situations. So, with them dead, I decided to pull back to the supply point. We're going to drag out the Paladins and see how we can get on with them. Obviously, I love my Paladins. I don't think they've hidden this fact. I really like them as a unit. I think they do really well. They sort of have everything I want in a unit. They have the self-heal. Now I've got the Ironside Doctrine on them. They have the tank. More importantly, they have the active block. Something that the Shield Maidens don't really seem to have, which, you know, I really wish they did, was the Paladin active block. As the Paladins move forwards to attack, they are actively blocking. So it's like a shield wall that moves and that makes them very, very hard to deal with as a unit. So as we drag them up on the top, there's quite a bit going on. I just bring them along, decide to go in for a charge. Actually angle it a little bit too much to the left, and we plough into this unit of stalwarts right on the side, but we actually chop down quite a few of them and we start to push through. And as the unit keeps pushing forwards, you know, we just start to get stuck into some of the enemy units. Keep pushing the unit forwards, keep pushing into the combat, taking pretty much no damage at all as we push through. We keep starting to sort of stack up some of the damage, push into a lot of the enemy ranged at the back, which unfortunately they just unloaded off the siege tower right as our unit comes flying up to them. And we even managed to get up to these Falcos, and amazingly, don't even get hit by any of them, which is a small miracle. We managed to just dodge this enemy Paladin charge, just moved out of the way to try and avoid it. And that's another one of the benefits, I think, of the Paladins, is how you get that mobility. The Palace Guards are so slow. I mean, God, they couldn't move out of the way of a lorry. You know, and because they have quite a wider formation, you don't get that same level of unit control. I can get the Paladins, because they're very tight formation, to sort of group up, move out the way quite easily, and because they're quite a responsive unit. So, for me, I feel you even get more control with the Paladins than you do on the Palace Guards. As we roll out the way, these Pavis were a bit of a problem. I wasn't expecting these, and then we get a unit of Stalwarts, and you go, ah! But this is why Palace Guards do not do this. Frontal charge goes straight through the Stalwarts. People, any of the clips I've seen so far of the Palace Guards largely show Palace Guards doing a little bit of damage at the front and then slowly enveloping the unit of Stalwarts and then killing them in that way. Well, that's not quite the same as what the Paladins do. The Paladins then actually push through the front of the Stalwarts, and those Stalwarts probably didn't have multiple epic doctrines. Let's face it, they probably weren't the best unit of Stalwarts in the game, but that is just a random game. You know, this is kind of what you encounter in most situations. And so that's why I think Paladins are better than Palace Guards at beating Stalwarts in pretty much every situation. As we come up, again, we get a bit of an example. Same staircase as we charged up at the start of the game. Look how much more damage you get out of the Paladin charge. We actually make it to the top of the stairs. Almost does too well and actually charges too deep into the enemy lines. We actually charge into quite a few of the enemy heroes because there's an enemy maul and an enemy longsword there, as long as the rest of the pike unit as well, trying to stab into us on top of the wall. This longsword does an annoyingly good job of keeping me on the floor, but eventually he gets himself killed. So I think that just kind of sums up a little bit why I prefer my Paladins over the Palace Guards. Palace Guards much improved from where they were. Definitely a better unit at the start of Season 7. And definitely very much a workable unit. And there will definitely be people who've had really good games with them. I mean, I've had some good games with them. But I don't think they are quite the groundbreaking unit that was kind of claimed at the start of the season. I think people just got a little bit carried away and kind of slightly overhyped them as a changed unit. And I think some of the things that got said about them, you know, that they're like the stalwart killers and things like that, it's just people getting a little bit carried away with them, I think. Unfortunately get grabbed, but by some miracle we managed to get out of it on that one, as we just push into this unit of shields, either the premium shields, the Black Dragon shields. But as we push down, only 15 seconds left on the game, they do exactly the right thing. They call a treb on me. And that really finishes off the last of my poor little Paladins. They have many benefits, but treb proof is unfortunately not one of them. But it gives a little bit of an idea of how the two units fare, because there was a lot of very similar fights, hopefully, in that game, and kind of highlights a little bit how the two perform. But for me, yeah, Paladins every time. Palace Guards, much improved, but certainly not the greatest unit in the game. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for lots more Conqueror's Blade content. See you on the next one, guys.